when my mom passed away, I also wasn't right away grateful for it. But I can honestly say right now that I am. It has made me the person that I am today, that I'm very proud of. And the spiritual development I needed to go through from my mom passing made me come to that point. And that maybe sounds really weird for some people, but it's really, really amazing to get to this point where you get to understand that everything in your life is happening for you. You just need to figure out why. I just had a fucking gun to my head. If he would have pulled the trigger, like it would have been over. Looks a little bit like how I am with Noah. I do these things all the time.
Thanks for giving me that.
Yeah, and then he copies me, and then I copy him. It's good joy. It's good joy letting that inner child out, not taking yourself too seriously.
For sure.
Yes. Welcome to a new episode of the Heart of Being Human podcast. And before you start listening, I want to ask you something. What if every painful thing that has ever happened to you, every heartbreak, every rejection, every moment where you thought, why me, was never a mistake? In this episode, Martin and I will dive into the truth behind pain, behind childhood wounds, and how to really overcome those dark moments that you can be in your life. And my promise is by the end of listening to this podcast, you'll understand how to turn pain into purpose and how to move through life's challenges with a lot more confidence and a lot more peace. Enjoy the podcast. Remember to leave a like, subscribe, and share the podcast with anyone you think that can really use this content. It really helps us, if you do that, because it really helps us to reach more people and to open more hearts so that we can live in a better world. So please do share if you feel called to do so, and enjoy listening to this episode of the Heart of Being Human podcast. Yeah, because the world becomes so boring if we're not allowing ourselves to just express authentically whatever it is that we are. And I think that it's so sad when we're so focused on always doing things in the most perfect way and always reflecting on how does it come across to someone else, to the point that we completely stifle ourselves. We completely block ourselves from actually expressing ourselves in the most authentic way.
I definitely agree. I think well, those are still like you can see it every day around you, right? I think this also counts for you. Like the more you grow, the more you really grow within your own authentic person, the more you also sort of like distance yourself, right, from others, or see the differences between really being authentic and being in a system, like just thinking, hey, I'm just in this freaking simulation, but I'm also not really taking any ownership in it.
Yeah. Sometimes I see people and it's just a regurgitation, a repeating of certain belief systems that maybe they don't even hold themselves, but they just heard sometime, and then they say it, and then you ask about it, and then that's like, yeah, no, that's just what I think. I go, yeah, sure. Without any backing it up or something like that. It's like, like consciousness hasn't synced in yet. And I mean, no judgment, right? Because if I look at videos of myself from when I was 20 years old, this Ruben that wanted to like perform and wanted to be on the stage, and so much masks, so many masks of I know what I know what I'm doing, but actually I don't. And I'm super afraid that you're going to be judging me and telling me that I'm not good enough. So I'm trying to put on this amazing mask of being a super confident guy.
How's it now?
It's gotten much better. I think we had a conversation about, like, last podcast, right? That we were talking about what I experienced during the ayahuasca, and I did notice this layer, of course, being there. And I think it's not maybe impossible, but nearly impossible to get yourself to be so completely free of the judgment of others, because we are social creatures. We do need each other. We have this deeply ingrained in our system that if we get banned out of our tribe, when we were cavemen, when we had small tribes, then alone you don't survive. So we need to constantly be aware of our surroundings and what they think, I think, to a certain degree. Um, Based on the survival mode. But I do think that when we reach a more enlightened state where things just flow through us, we can just constantly be this pure, authentic expression, and it's a scale. And I think we're all somewhere on that scale. I'm definitely not saying that I'm all the way on the right side, in the sense that I don't think about it at all. I do see myself noticing myself creating stories in my head in which ways I am amazing. And, there's a fine line between being proud of yourself and kind of telling a story in your head in order to be validated and feel good enough, because there is a void of feeling not good enough. So I definitely still do have it. So I also fully understand it. And at the same time, I've done a lot of work, like you said as well, a lot of consciousness work, and also a lot of deep realizations. Also, again, during the ayahuascas, but also in meditation and in breath work, that eventually it's all about authenticity and pureness of expression. And the purer my expression is, the more alive and excited I feel. And I feel like I'm at a retreat space right now where I had a training for 5 days, which was really an amazing training with a lot of interesting things to reflect upon, like questions like, what would you do if you would have 6 months to live? And what are your goals, and how are you going to achieve those goals at the moment? And what are the main blockages for that? And we did some constellation work, like a familieopstelling, like constellation work. And so it was really interesting to also see the dynamic there. And how someone was representing me, and um,
Mm-hmm.
there was someone standing behind me, in that sense, in the representation, that was basically my soul plan that was represented there. And for people that don't know what constellation work is, look it up. It's a very interesting way of, yeah, understanding energy and understanding the undercurrent of what is actually present within your own system and within your family. And it's crazy what kind of things come up. I was like in deep tears at that moment. And so someone was representing me, someone was representing my soul plan, and my soul plan was standing behind me with like arms up, like in the sky, like I am ready for this soul plan to come out. And already right there and then I saw myself becoming a little bit smaller. And that still had to do with this fear of being rejected, because when I had basically my entire soul plan coming into fruition to a certain degree with the law of attraction business I had, what we also talked about last week, and then suddenly noticing it growing so fast, and so many people being involved, and so many opinions of people that were also not agreeing with me, that really touched me. That it was really a moment of like, oh, definitely I still have something to heal there, because I was feeling so afraid of being judged by these people around me, that I let go of that soul plan for a bit, and I made myself smaller, which was okay, because I needed to re- recuperate and recover from the intensity and from the feeling of not being good enough. Um, and during this constellation, I really saw, okay, like it's time again. It's time to step into that full authentic expression of what I'm here to do, why I'm here on Earth. And that feels somehow a little bit scary, because it sometimes feels so big. But I realized today during this training that I just have to keep my focus on the others, meaning the people that I'm trying to help. I just move away my focus from myself and who I need to be, and just keep my focus on how can I how can I truly help?
Doesn't it go both ways though?
In which way?
Well, because you still need the wholeness of yourself in order to be there to help others, right?
Yeah, but if
So
I'm in my pure expression, just focused on how I can help someone, then this layer of ego of who I am and who I need to be kind of goes away. And it's, of course, it's subtle, but that's a sentence for me that if I'm not just worried, just thinking about like when we do a presentation, right? And you're afraid um, about what people are thinking of you, you're constantly busy with yourself and how are you presenting it. But when you're busy with the presentation and just bringing, just sharing the information that you have to share in the most awesome, authentic way, by just focusing on giving that, then you take yourself out of the equation, basically. And I think the more we take ourselves out of the equation, the more we can authentically express. And with ourselves, I mean our egoic self. Does it make any sense or not?
yeah, me.
And it's also about accepting this part of our ego being present. But I'm noticing that when I just bring my focus away from how do I come across to how can I provide more value, how can I help someone better, that then that layer of ego that is so worried about what others think just kind of goes into the background, and then in the foreground just comes authentic presence in letting the intention of I want to help this person in front of me come and express optimally. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, no, definitely. You're in a more uh receiving state, and you can receive it in a more a pure connection, instead
Yeah,
of immediately seeing what's the gain for me, what can
exactly.
I get out of it,
Exactly.
and
And that's
what
what I
can I
also
loathe.
noticed
Yeah.
with the detox and supplement business that I work with, that there's these different levels and statuses that you can achieve within the company, and it's kind of like a fun game to play to improve your status, and then you get recognized at a gala and you get to join these kind of trainings that I'm in Croatia for right now. But I've noticed that that got me to a certain point of growth. I achieved kind of like one of the highest statuses within the company, and it was kind of fun to have that gamification to move towards that. But then as soon as I achieved it, also afterwards, I had a drop again because I felt like it wasn't really a long term goal. It was just more like, okay, now I achieved it, and now it's okay. And what happened during this training is that I put my focus on, okay, instead of getting the next status and the next goal and the next amount of money or whatever that is, let me focus on the image or the visualization of helping someone else become financially free. So, if I have someone in my surroundings that has struggles with money or something like that, and is noticing that therefore they are not able to express themselves as purely and authentically because they're stuck in a survival mode and constantly trying to figure out how to get them the right amount of money so that they can do what they want to do, and therefore needing to sacrifice a lot of their time instead of just being able to purely express whatever they want to do, then how amazing would it be if I can just give all everything I learned over the last 10 years in how I became financially free, and that I can then see them have that transformation and put them in the spotlight and give them the stage. And then it's not about me anymore, and it's not about me having created that for them. It's me simply just being like in awe for for them and for their ability to have changed so much.
It's also some way of mentorship, right?
Yeah.
That so
Yeah.
does this what you're saying right now, did this um enlarge, or did this grow bigger, this desire, after the moment you became a father?
A beautiful question. I hadn't reflected on that specifically yet. But yeah, you're right. Of course. I'm so in service of what I sometimes make as a joke of my king, which is my son. He is my king. He tells me what to do. So easily is that, right? He cries, okay, bring it to mommy. He's annoyed. Okay, you need to pee or poop. You know, it's like, oh, he's like, meh. Okay, we need to put you in the carrier so that you can fall asleep. It's like, okay, my king, whatever you want, I'll do. Which is a humbling experience, and I do it with so much love, and it gives me so much joy. So yeah, maybe it all just links into that. Makes a lot of sense. Makes a lot of sense. And I think it's also, as soon as you go up this ladder of fulfillment out of this place of ego, out of this place of, I need to be more and more and more and more and get more and more and more, then at one point there must be a realization of how it's actually not fulfilling. How there's actually an element of emptiness. As soon as you then achieve this next thing for yourself, it's like, yeah, it was nice for a day or a week, but it doesn't give that ultimate fulfillment that when you help someone else gives. When you truly can support and mentor and help someone else transform and grow.
So what does? Because now you say so. This doesn't give that ultimate fulfillment. It's just for a week or so, and then it kind of cools down. What are, like? Do you have examples of moments that you did experience that brought you that fulfillment instead of just a void or just a part time?
Yeah, well, I think your example or your question towards my son makes a lot of sense. By me being 24/7 basically available to his needs, I'm helping him survive. Simple as that, right? Without me and my girlfriend, he wouldn't be able to survive. And so now he's growing and he's moving around. And right now he's in this stage where he's super curious about everything, but he can't walk yet. So he sits on my lap and then he kind of throws himself at the thing that he wants to explore, but he doesn't have the body yet. So I'm kind of just holding him in along the way. And sometimes I just let him like move towards it. And then he has his head on my leg or something, and he tries to move a little bit, like crawl a little bit in some way, but he's not really succeeding. And at one point he's like, meh, eh. I'm like, okay, I'll help you. And then I just move him towards the object that he wants to touch and he wants to eat, because everything he wants to put in his mouth. And
Oh
then
yeah, yeah, yeah.
and he came there because we were constantly in support and in a bit weird of a word maybe, but in mentorship of him. um and other situation, I had a coaching client who I coached 3 or 4 years ago, and after that he had all sorts of different coaches, but he constantly came back to me and said, like, the transformation that I experienced and the person I became during the coaching I had with you, I've never had after that, and so I would love to get some more coaching from you. um and then he expresses the things that that have changed in his life and how he looks at the world in a different way. It's beautiful. It's just beautiful to be able to contribute and to really see that outward reflection, in a way of being in service to someone's growth. Yeah. And then also when you're getting complimented about it, to find that beautiful balance of receiving a compliment, being able to really receive and say, like, okay, wow, thank you so much that you're expressing your gratitude and what has changed. But then also not letting it go to your head and being like, no, I'm this person that creates transformation for people. Oh, blah, 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 blah. Because then again, it becomes an ego layer, and then it's not anymore this authentic expression. And then again, you're too busy with yourself versus with helping the other. Yeah, and I think that's the essence. How's that for you? How do you express that in your life?
How is that for me? I have 100 kinds of answers, but can you specify the question for me? Because otherwise, my brain is not working with it.
How do you focus your attention so that it's not all about you?
Difficult. That's really difficult because, in essence, it's all about me.
Because of the acting, you mean?
You know, I I lived a long period of my life in the servitude for other people, uh, or like serving, really being there, like always first thinking about the other person. Also with acting, I mean, I gave a lot of jobs away to people whom I knew they could, fulfill the role or play it, and I never put myself there, um, on a pedestal or on the stage, at the center of attention. I always thought about the other person. So for me, this is very controversial because the last period of time, that's actually one of my own growth goals and also achievement somewhere to actually take some more, to actually own up, to actually take some more leadership there and direct myself in actually taking the space instead of giving it away.
I think that what I feel in what you're expressing is this balance between this giving and also being able to take space. But you've also given away from a place of lack, maybe sometimes, when it comes to taking space and not taking space, in not giving yourself the space to actually shine. But when you're giving space in your acting, for example, to someone because you're feeling not good enough, then it's maybe a good invitation to say, okay, well, why am I doing that? Why am I not giving myself more space for the authentic expression and for the knowing that I am actually perfectly good enough the way I am? You feel me, bruv?
Yeah. No, I feel you, brother. Brother.
Brother.
I
Brother from
bruv.
another mother.
I bruv. It's a harsh one. I think definitely in the beginning, and after I experienced some events that kind of twisted my whole um experience in how people can be around you when it comes to you getting the attention. There was a long moment of maybe or period of, I think, 3 to 4 years that I definitely moved from the part of I don't deserve it. Not that I'm not good enough, but I don't deserve it. Other people, they deserve it because
Mhm.
I don't deserve this attention.
And why not?
Because
Well, what was the underlying thing behind that belief?
I kind of let myself by, um if I if some people, they, I don't know, it was really easy when I was younger to have a certain influence on me, that when you started as like my best friend or something like that, that kind of energy, and then at the end, twist around a little bit and gaslight. I could be not like a puppet, but I could definitely be uh uh, my opinions and my feelings and my state of how I felt about myself could definitely change after that. Um, and I was just not that strong in that part. I was always like very, very naive and
Mhm. And
always
why?
so.
What was the? Why would you go there? Why would you let yourself be gaslighted? Why would you let yourself be puppeteered in that sense? What was the underlying belief in that?
I think that was that was still responding or reacting from the little kid, from when I was really like little, and every time I tried to make friends or make contact, then other kids, they either ran away or they laughed at me. So that was like rejection, 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 rejection.
Wanting
So
to be validated, wanting to be found good enough by others.
Yeah, and everywhere around me, I saw the example of people or kids hugging each other and having fun with each other and playing with each other. And so to me, it was like, hey, the moment that I reach, a state like that and actually make friends and actually be able to also play with them and do those things, then, well, okay, all the other things that come with it, like the gaslighting or the bullying or, um, trying to create a certain influence on me. I kind of saw that as maybe like, okay, this is part of it, but hey, I'm playing with someone.
Yeah. So this need and desire to be part, basically part of a group, part of having friends to be able to play with, was so strong that you believed you would need to give up a lot of yourself and to basically accept indeed also these quote unquote negative behaviors from others like gaslighting,
Yeah.
so that to you could just be part, right?
Yeah. And I'm so sure that when you're like a baby and your parents are arguing and the arguing is going on and they're not like how we should just break up, but they keep it going for like 3 years or something. I always tuck that away, like, here's a little blanket. Just those thoughts and those feelings. Here, go. Go there. Stay there in that little blanket. Oh, it's good. It's good. Good. Just keep it away. No, it's not. It's not a big thing at all. Nah, that didn't form me at all. Nah, it's not. It's not important. It's not. I'm not a victim or whatever.
Mhm.
And
Yeah, it's this coping mechanism, right? We try to cope
yeah,
with the situations in our life because we don't know how to handle them, and then we
yeah.
disassociate, which is one of the functions that the ego has. We disassociate from something in order to not feel it, in order to yeah to feel enough and to be okay in that moment. But then it just gonna express itself more from a shadow perspective, right?
Yeah, it's funny how those things go. I mean, okay, do you recognize some of it? Like maybe not necessarily recognize, but how like the differences between you as who you are now and who you were as a kid, like making the first moves to maybe open yourself up for people, or I don't know how was that for you?
What I can remember from my childhood, because unfortunately there's still some layers of that I noticed that a lot of other people have a lot of memories from their childhood, and Leia is even crazy in regards to that because she remembers even she has a memory of a time when she was just a couple months old, and she has a lot of memories from being 2 years old and 3 years old, and um, which of course a lot of people don't. But I also have missed a lot of memories from everything before my ninth birthday, which is when my mom passed away, which I think then also implies there's still something to heal there. But what I can remember is that I was always friends with everyone, and that was a very purely and authentic way of being friends because I was always just so playful and so easily in connecting with people. And then after my mom's passing, I became much more introverted, and that kind of went away, and I started worrying more about myself. So I think that's a way that I noticed like some layers started coming that I didn't have as a child. And if I go to the theory of it, I'm very fascinated. I'm one of my Bibles, so to say, is Jan Geurt, his book Addicted to Love.
Oh yeah, I know that one. Yeah,
He's a Dutch writer, and
yeah. Mm-hmm.
in this book he expresses so beautifully the expression of the ego, as well, and how we are constantly looking for validation and looking for love based on the fundamental belief system that we are not good enough. And in our beginning of our life, we do not have conscious awareness yet. So we're constantly just an expression. In the beginning, we are our body. And then later on, we have a body because we become more disassociated. We become more, not disassociated so much, more aware. And therefore, we notice, hey, I have this body. It's not per se that I am the body, I have it. And then we move on to the next stage of I am my emotions. And then at one point we realized, no, well, wait, I have my emotions, and I can also choose not to express those emotions always. I don't have to always react on everything. But as a kid, you do, right? You have emotion, you react on it. It's like pop, pop, pop. There's no conscious thought of like, should I maybe say or do something like that? And of course, it depends again per child. I think that Leia somehow also was grown up already with so much awareness that she was already so reflective on how to behave in certain situations, which at the same time also brought her life challenge, because she's always taking responsibility for everything already since she was a child. And so sometimes just being able to let go and not take responsibility is her challenge, right? It goes the other way. But it's then, and then eventually we become, we don't, we are not our emotions. We have our emotions, and then we have the next level, which is I am my thoughts, and then being able to transcend that and to understand I am also not my thoughts. I am just simply the one that observed the thoughts, right? It's just the more spiritual practice. But in that entire process of becoming an adult, Jan Geurt says that basically the highlight of our complete identification and um, constantly focusing on what others are thinking of us is our puberty. And in our puberty, we're so constantly looking to be validated that we change our clothes, we change our hairstyle, we do everything to become part of the group, part of the crowd. And if someone judges us, it hurts us a lot. And we can, like, you have teenage girls that can cry for days in their beds because of what someone said. And then when we get older, we become a little bit smarter in it, in a sense, and we start having this ability, depending on the person, again, depending on your ability to develop your awareness. I'm not saying that it's the case for everyone, but when we develop awareness, then at one point we start being able to disassociate more from our emotions and say, okay, well, you know what, this emotion that I'm experiencing right now, I do not need to express it. I do not need to express my thought to this person. Like simply, like also yesterday, I got a message from someone, and this person was actually really excited to work together with me. And then yesterday, I get this message very shortly of like, yeah, no, I decided I'm not going to be doing this. It's not for me. And the first thing that happens is this emotional reaction inside of me, because I spent quite a bit of time, talking to this person, and he was really excited. And then suddenly there's this shift, and then it's not about the fact that he doesn't want to work together with me. That's okay. But the fact that he expresses it in just a quick WhatsApp message, she's like, yeah, so it's not for me, and not expressing anything about why not. We just had some beautiful conversations, and we were so online, and now suddenly we're not in line anymore, which is okay because life happens. But then please have the respect kind of to express to me why not and what changed for you, and maybe even doing that in a call and not just in a quick WhatsApp message. And
Mm-hmm.
all true, I believe, I think that those things are good, because I feel I want to also respect others. So this is how I would do it.
Yeah.
But the emotion that I feel in that moment wants me to, in that moment, write a message saying like, hey, what the fuck? Why are you saying it like this? That's not okay, because
Yeah.
we just had an entire conversation. Now you're expressing it like this, that kind of shit that you're doing that. Why are you being such a dick? Am I actually expressing that? No, because that internal emotion that I'm expressing experiencing in that moment, I don't need to react it out on him. I first get to feel that emotion for myself and to understand what is actually this emotion for. Why am I experiencing that?
Yeah.
And then I get to realize, okay, like, I feel disrespected, but maybe this
Uh-huh.
person didn't mean any disrespect at all, right? So it's just my way of receiving what he said. And so I first try to solve that within myself, so that afterwards, when I do send him a message, I can still express that the way that I like to communicate with people is in this way that we call each other, that you express to me. I spent quite a lot of time with him
Yeah.
already, that
Yeah.
that he expresses it in some more words, and that we have an actual conversation about it. I can still express that, but then it's not anymore from this emotion of feeling like being disrespected.
Yeah.
And then I want to, before I call, I take a moment for myself to close my eyes and to kind of feel if I'm expressing this to him right now. Can I do that from a place of just neutral, loving awareness with no feeling that he is trying to be disrespectful? So that's the first step. But, well, I mean, we're talking about it right now, which already is
Yeah.
helping. I
Yeah.
am creating different storylines. For example, no, maybe he actually wanted to um, express it fully, but he thought, I'll just say it now so that he at least knows, and then when we have a call later, we can talk about it in more detail. And that storyline by itself, if I start investing into that storyline, all the emotion kind of disappears because it's like, oh, well, he meant it in the best possible way,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's like a beautiful example from I don't remember her name, someone who's also like a spiritual teacher, and she's like, if I'm driving on the highway and there's a guy that's passing me by, and then he kind of cuts me off because he realizes he needs to get off the highway and I need to brake, my first reaction would be, oh my god, what the fuck are you doing? Like, we almost crashed, and why are you being so in a hurry, man? What the fuck? It's very dangerous. A lot of emotion. And then she's like, well, maybe this guy is bringing his wife to the hospital because she's going into labor and it's like hectic and difficult. And he's like stressed. Now I have compassion,
Yeah.
right? That difference. Or the story, I think this is from the book 7 Habits of Highly Effective People from Stephen Covey, I think, where he's expressing that there's this man with 2 kids in a subway train, and the 2 kids are like running around in the subway, screaming and making a lot of noise, and the dad is just kind of like standing there. And the people that are sitting in the subway are looking at those kids, and you feel the tension build up because all these kind of people are thinking like, why is this dad not telling their kids to be a bit more quiet? Like, they're super loud, they're running around, they're kind of hitting against people's legs a little bit, and it's not okay. This is not a good way of raising your kids. And so at one point, the energy builds up to the point that one of the people sitting there stands up and says to the man, like, sir, can you please keep your children a bit quiet? They're running around, they're destroying something, they're hitting, they're super loud, like people cannot just relax. And then suddenly this man is looking like shocked and looks at him and like, oh yeah, I'm so sorry. I didn't even realize so well, and I find it really difficult because we were just at the hospital and they just lost their mom. And so I just kind of want to give them a space to express a little bit, and I also am not in my own good energy. Boom. Complete change in having suddenly compassion. Because the storyline people had in their heads, he's not a good father, he's not present with them, the kids are just running around, like, how are they going to grow up being so annoying, whatever storyline can be there. Suddenly there's a storyline of compassion because they suddenly understand like what these kids and what this husband or this man is going through, having lost his partner and their mom.
Yeah.
I remember walking on the street a couple days ago, and I have Noah in my hand, and there is a dog who suddenly runs quite close and barks really intensely. And especially because I had Noah in my hand, there's this protective nature.
Yeah.
And the first thing that I say whilst avoiding the dog's like, whoa, what a fucking stupid dog. And the second thing that I then say is like, he probably needs some love. Let's send him some love. Let's send him some love. Or when you're sitting in an airplane and there's a baby that starts crying, how many people are then in that moment also thinking like, oh, it's so annoying. Is this baby going to cry the entire flight? I won't be able to get my rest. And oh, can the mother please take care of the baby that it shuts up and everything like that, which is all this energy that the baby, because the baby is super open, is receiving and probably making the baby cry even more. And instead of that, what if we could just sit there and like, oh, this baby really needs some love right now. Let's send some love. Let's send some compassion towards this baby.
That's a really, really good example because I mean, I was in a train not that long ago, and there was actually a little kid, and was making all this noise and stuff, and I was in first class, so like in a quiet zone, right? So those are things for people, right? But I was
Yeah.
just there, chilling, and I heard the kid, and my first thought that was like a little negative thought was like, oh god, geez, all this noise and stuff. Oh man, I really gotta focus because I want I gotta focus on my script. I want to, do my own things. And then immediately I changed it. I was like, fuck, screw that. I mean, I'm in this train probably for an hour or maybe more. Um, maybe the kid is also gonna be there for an hour or longer, or don't know. But hey, I'm curious. Who is this? Who is this little kid? Who is like crying or making all this noise? Who is this little like bundle of joy? And the moment that I created that thought, I saw like this little like these eyes like from the seat in front of me, just suddenly, looking at me, and then
Just joy in the eyes.
yeah, and then the head was, like the head was like
Tilted.
tilted, and then those hands, the little hands, were on the seat, like trying to reach me or to get to me, and then I also played around a little bit, and before I know it, I was having like a really joyful moment with such a little bundle of joy and love and wanting to explore everything, and I just laughed a lot about it, and people around me, they were like, all like so, like grumpy people. So it's so funny, like how little difference the process of your thoughts can be, and how you can also transform them within like uh, just a second, like a millisecond, and that's it. And then before you know it, there's another reality. Yeah, it's really cool to live from that kind of altitude.
Altitude, the height, or
Yes,
attitude?
altitude,
Altitude,
altitude.
attitude. An altitude-ish attitude.
Altitude is healthy attitude, but it's just for people who cannot pronounce it the right way.
Oh, I mean,
Altitude.
altitude in that sense, altitude of higher consciousness, I could say as well.
Yes.
And I think that's the thing, right? Like, can we create storylines that are empowering? Can we create storylines that, if we are the creators of our reality, which I do believe we are,
Yeah.
then why not create a reality in which everything is happening for us?
Mm-hmm.
And so if you're confronted with a specific situation, such as this kid screaming, instead of that being something terrible that's happening in your reality, and why is that happening right now, and can it not shut up, and then being able to have this radical acceptance of the present moment and just saying, like, okay, well, this is what's present right now, which is not to say that you're not allowed to say something, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't
Mm-hmm.
mean that you should just let yourself be walked over when something presents itself as
Yeah.
but it means that you don't need to express it then from this emotion, because in that situation you could have also and have compassion for this kid, and at the same time made the mom or whatever aware of the fact that it is a silent area, but not from an emotion of but from just like, hey ma'am, it's super nice how excited your kid is, I love it. And at the same time, this is a silent area, and I can imagine that some people would love to enjoy their silence. Would it be possible to create that silence together here?
Yeah, yeah.
And then there's much more because it's not about not setting boundaries. Sometimes people think that spirituality is then also oh, you just have to accept everything and everything is just okay. No, it's very much okay to give boundaries. It's very important as well. We are living in this 3D reality, and it's like, oh yeah, someone's just gonna rape me, I'm just gonna have to accept it. No, right? To make it very extreme example, no, we have to
Little,
set
yeah.
boundaries.
Mm.
um and sometimes we have to set boundaries also in a very strong way when there's something happening that's not okay. And at the same time, can we deal with the emotion that's behind it? Can we notice that that emotion is ours and that we get to
Yeah.
solve that within ourselves as well?
I think it's a beautiful, beautiful way how you put it. They should like, hey, um, this is still a silence area, so could we maybe try this silence together? I would like to invite you to create that respect of the silence area, maybe. But I mean, it was only the kid making the noise, so in that situation, I don't know if I would have done that then, because it maybe it's hard for the parents to have that control or influence or command over their kid.
Yeah, okay. But I would also probably not sit with Noah in a silent area.
Yeah.
See? Like if I would go on a train with Noah, I don't know, maybe there is some reason to find why it would be important for him to be in a silent area. But honestly, I probably would be like, well, that gives me a lot of stress because I know that it's a
Yeah.
silent area, and I want to make sure that that I appreciate the fact that we have created spaces in the train that are meant for this, and I can respect people that want. I love the silent areas to meditate as well, and so when people are then making sound, my meditation becomes a little bit more difficult.
Yes.
Uh,
Yeah.
so I try to respect these kinds of structures and systems that are built in place.
You also have that
And
there
if I
in Germany, silent areas.
I don't know. I have traveled not that often by train in Germany, to be honest, but I haven't seen it. Yeah, it's a very Dutch thing as well, I think.
So
Yeah,
interesting. Like,
yeah. But I would definitely just choose not to sit in a silent area, you know? I would like, phew, if Noah is sleeping, maybe yes, but if he's awake, that's a challenge because so Noah talks a lot. He talks a lot. Yeah, he's very expressive.
yeah, I still have
So,
to meet him. Ah!
yeah, will
We'll do,
happen. Will happen.
we'll do that. We'll do that soon. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that this radical acceptance, I think that's a really beautiful tool in
Mm-hmm.
order for us to be able to accept every situation in our life, what is happening, and to see that everything that is happening in our life is happening for a reason, that it's always reflecting something inside of us. So if something amazing happens, it just reflects our love and our joy that we have inside of us, and we can just fully abundantly enjoy that. And when something happens in our life that is not exactly the way that we want it, then and we get an emotion of annoyance or whatever, then it reflects something inside of us that needs to be healed and that wants to be seen.
So let's talk about something. I heard the word joy, and something that you may could have not expected. How let's talk about you and Leia.
Mm.
So,
Yeah, I know what you're aiming for. Yeah, yeah,
because that
the
you
way that we
also,
met each other.
right, you didn't expect that. You
Definitely
also
not.
maybe somewhere you didn't create it. It got created.
Well, I think I did create it in that sense that my resonance and my frequency somewhat created that. And
Yeah.
I'm eventually really happy that it did. So just to to make it not very cryptic and to just share the story,
Yeah. Go ahead.
in the
Yeah.
beginning of 2023, I was in Colombia and I was attending a Dr. Joe Dispenza seminar, which is an amazing seminar with all sorts of meditations and really, yeah, spiritually awakening and going deeper with being able to become oneness, so to say. So after a week of that retreat, I was very much in a beautiful state, and it was the end of the retreat, and I stayed there at the retreat area with a couple of people for some hours. So we were like the last ones to leave. And I walked back to my Airbnb as I did every night, which was about a 10-minute walk. And whilst I'm walking back, there is these two guys on a motor, and one on the back jumps off, and he points a gun at me, and he wants to have my phone. And my reaction while standing there was to run away, which was kind of like a survival instinct reaction. At the same time, I do remember having this like split moment thought of like, nah, this is not my moment to die. He's not going to shoot me. I don't know if that's where that was coming from, but my reaction to that, which is also just a survival reaction, right? Just like a split moment, was to run away. So I turn around, I try to run, but then I fall down. And so I fall, and he comes running at me, and he hits me with the back of the gun on my head. And for the people watching this podcast, there's this little line here still. So he hits me on the back of the pistol on my head, and it starts bleeding, and the blood is coming in front of my eyes. But I'm so much in a flight mode that I'm just standing up, and even though the blood is in front of my eyes, I know I've seen so much, I just run in a direction as hard as fast as I can. And at the same time, I hear some people screaming. And at one point, when I'm a little bit further away, I look back and I see these people come running, and there's a guy with a steel bar in his hand, and they saw it happening, and they are trying to scare these guys away. So they jump back on the motorbike and they drive off. And luckily, these people were very nice, and like they had something to stop the bleeding as well. And I was sitting there and so slowly getting back into consciousness again. And then one of the people walked me back to my Airbnb. And already whilst walking back, which is about 10 minutes after it happened, I asked myself the question, how did I create that?
Mm-hmm.
Because I do believe that we create our own reality, and that everything that we experience in this reality is happening for us. There is a reason for it happening. Even the most fucking painful, awful things. Yes, I know if you hear this and you're like, well, but this in my life and that in my life, I really can't imagine that it happened for me, and it's just so terrible, and we live in such a terrible planet, and these kind of experiences should never happen to anyone. Yes, compassion for all of that, and it's very important that you feel all of that, because that's part of the process. When my mom passed away, I also wasn't like right away grateful for it, but I can honestly say right now that I am. It has made me the person that I am today, that I'm very proud of, and that I think I've become someone that I can be proud of. And the spiritual development I needed to go through from my mom passing made me come to that point. And that maybe sounds really weird for some people, but it's really, really amazing to get to this point where you get to understand that everything in your life is happening for you. You just need to figure out why, right? You just sometimes need to figure out why. You don't always figure it out right away. Sometimes the dots connect looking backwards. And sometimes that backwards is quite a bit further in your future. But as soon as you get this perspective of everything is happening for me, you truly believe in that, and you start to look for why it could have happened and what it gives you,
This
it
connection
definitely
with
does
your
help.
this connection with your mom is actually it's still, to me, it's one of the most beautiful examples of how you can deal with the loss of one of your parents and transform it into so much love and value and insight and growth. I really commend you for that. I still do. Yeah. Go on. Sorry.
No, no, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, and it's not to say, that there's moments where I see, for example, the connection that Leia has with her mom, and they talk to each other almost every day, and she's like, yeah, I just feel like calling my mom. And I don't really have that connection with my dad so much, that I have the feeling to call him every day and to check in with him, that I'm so curious about what he's doing in his life and whatever like that. We're just very different people and different interests and different perspectives. But and my dad and people around in my family always said that I looked more like my mom, and I was always more of a mother's child, whilst my sister was more connected to my father. And so I do, of course, have moments where I'm like, how would it have been if my mother would have been there? What would have been my connection to my mom? It's not like there is no feelings there, but there is an overarching feeling of just gratitude for my life. And if I look at this situation where I had a gun to my head and 10 or 15 minutes later, I was asking myself, why did it happen? The first thing that already came to me in that moment was like, well, if I can handle this, I can handle anything. I just had a fucking gun to my head. If he would have pulled the trigger, like it would have been over. So gratitude for life, you know? Gratitude for life that we all have this opportunity to wake up every morning and that we get to live, and that most of the time there is no death threatening situations, and that we get to just explore and expand and to learn, and that even though it sometimes feels death threatening to get rejected by someone, by it's not actually, it's just a experience that we get to have. So
You
that was
get
already
what you
one.
can. You get what you can endure. I'm really certain about that.
Mhm.
Also, when it comes to spiritual path and all these maybe things that become traumas or how you can overcome them, you don't just get them. You get them because you also somewhere created them yourself, because you need that. You need to be able to take that power from it, right? To empower yourself with the love, with the self reflection, and with all the energy that you can gain from it to actually become a more whole person.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the example of the white room, if you imagine being in a white room and you're completely white and everything around you is white, then how can you truly appreciate the whiteness? Because everything is white. So there's actually no white because there's just that what is. But as soon as in the corner of that space, somewhere a black spot arises, you could feel in a moment, whoa, black, that's scary, that's different. Whoa, what the fuck is that? But at the same time, if you then focus your attention again to the white, you can appreciate the white because you see the black and you're like, wait, but that white is actually really beautiful in comparison to that black. And now you get a contrasting experience, which I think life is all about. Getting the contrasting experiences so that we can appreciate life and all of its everything that's within it, and understand actually how amazing things are because we have contrast. Yeah. And so
Back to
if
the
we go
gun.
to that state, yeah,
Yeah.
if we go to that state with this radical acceptance, and I was really mesmerized about already 15 minutes after asking this question and being already much more in awareness. Of course, I just had a 7-day retreat where I was meditating a lot. And so I was in quite a state, but it was interesting. I was in such a high frequency. Why would I attract this gun in this moment when I'm just resonating so much love and joy? Huh? How is that possible? And so the next day, I'm standing in the lobby of the hotel and I'm waiting for someone because we are going to do a walking meditation. There were still some people that were, after the seminar, still staying there a little bit longer and just doing our own meditations together with recordings of Joe Dispenza. And I'm standing in the lobby of the hotel waiting for this guy who's a bit late. And there's 4 people that enter into the lobby of the hotel. And 2 of them I know, and we met each other that week. And I had this band-aid on my head from where he hit me with the gun. So these 2 people, they look at me and they're like, huh? What happened? Yesterday you didn't have that yet. So I expressed the story to these four people. And there's one person who's like super empathetic. And she's like, wow, crazy that this happened. And oh my God. And she asked a lot of questions. And at one point she comes close and she holds her hands next to my head. And I feel this energy moving through my body that I've never felt before. And I can't express it exactly what it was, but it was somehow very magical. And I just became curious, like who is this person and why do I feel that with her? And, that's Leia. And that's from there on out, we got to connect more. In the beginning, it wasn't so much about us as a man and a woman connecting. It was more just like this spiritual connection of this moment. And she expressed later on that one of the reasons she was also so empathetic, besides her being an empathetic person in general, but one reason was also that in that morning, she was walking on the beach and she suddenly had this random thought stream of, what would it mean if someone would now be robbed or something happens with a gun? that was at the retreat. Like, why would someone attract a situation like that? And at one point, she was noticing herself thinking about this and like, wait, why am I thinking about this negative stuff? I don't want to think about that negative stuff. Let it go, let it go. But what I believe is that she wasn't just thinking about it; she was just picking up on the signal of what I experienced the night before.
Yeah.
And so when
Yeah.
she saw me and I shared the story, of course, this also touched her, and she's like, "Well, oh my God, why did I pick up on that?" And and a month later, I visited her in Costa Rica, where she was living at the time, to explore the spiritual connection, to explore our business collaboration that we were already talking about before. And then after 3 days, we were walking on the beach, and I felt something in my heart, and I basically just expressed from a sense of disbelief because I hadn't fallen in love in quite a while. I expressed to her like, can I actually fall in love with you? Because there was a question in my head that I was struggling with because I was with different women over the years, but always I missed this feeling that I had with my first girlfriend where I truly fell in love. And with these other women, I had beautiful connection, but there was always this not being fully in love. And then suddenly I felt this feeling again in my heart, and I was a little bit cautious. Also because Leia just came out of an 8-year relationship just a couple of weeks before that, so it was also a little bit like, is this actually okay? And is she gonna reciprocate that? Is she going to also? But then I was like, I don't fucking care anymore. Even if she doesn't want to be with me, I just allow myself to fully fall in love right now. I just want to experience that. And so after 3 days, I did. I allowed that. And then I think on day 4, day 5, I already felt such a strong connection to her that I told her like, I know it's you. I want to be with you. And I know that you're in your process of, you thought you were going to be single for a while because you've been in a relationship since you're 16. You just came out of an 8-year relationship. So you're not at all at the point of going into a new relationship. I fully respect that, but I am with you. I am not going to be with any other women, and I see us having children after like 4 or 5 days, you know? Yeah.
Shit.
It's like, I think if you would bring this script to Hollywood, they would like not write a movie because too cliche or too cheesy or something, you know?
No, no, no,
No, but
no,
like
not
how
at
it all
all.
happens, like this magic, yeah, of course, and then of course he meets Jesus. What a script, you know? It's like, no, but it's actually what happened, and it was so clear to me. It was such a nice feeling to have so much clarity because in the previous relationships before that, there was always this feeling of like, but is this the right person? Is this actually where? And now there was no doubt whatsoever, and it just clicked. And yeah, and then 4 months later, she expressed that she's ready to now step into the relationship. So it took a little bit of time. She even had some experience with someone else, which I don't know. Yeah, there was a little bit of a moment of like, oh, is she now going to be with this other person, this other guy, maybe? But at the same time, there was just so much trust and so much knowingness that we were supposed to be together. It was like, yeah, go and have that experience. That's what you need. Go and have it. And I'm ready. I'm here. And I wasn't with any other women since that time. And I was just waiting and just being very, very, not waiting, but just very lovingly there. And then after 4 months, she expressed that she wanted to be with me, which was a very beautifully, because there was some layer still there. And then I could fully sink into it. Like, okay, now she really committed. And I know that her as a personality, also she's a Taurus. If she commits, right? Like and then just a month later, she even expressed that she wanted to have my child. So that was also really quick, right? It was just 5 months after we met each other that she already expressed that. Then I needed another 9 months to be ready for that because I was like, okay, wait, I do feel like we were gonna have kids, but I thought it was gonna be a little bit in the future, and I do like my freedom, and am I gonna lose my freedom if I child? So I had some processes, but I went through those processes quite quickly because she felt so connected already to a soul, some being that wanted to come through. She's a very sensitive girl, and she could feel that, and she had really days where she would be crying out of missing this soul on earth. feeling like he's supposed to be here already, and why is he not here, and why do I have to be so patient and wait for Ruben, and because he's already here. Like, why can't we just have him physically arrive now? And so those moments, of course, pushed me to really go deeper into myself, to all these belief systems about, am I ready to be a father? Am I going to be good enough for it? Am I going to have enough space for myself still? All these things. And then, after these 9 months, which is funny, that's also 9 months, right? Because that's also how long pregnancy is.
Yeah, exactly. That's
Then
why
I
I had to
also,
laugh.
yeah. And then I also expressed that I'm ready, because I had a Vipassana meditation. And in that Vipassana meditation, which is this, I expressed it, I think, in a previous episode, where we meditate for 10 days, 12 hours a day. And I think on day 6 or 7, I suddenly feel this blue energy in the space, and I connect to it, and I realize that it's basically my son. And he's expressing a lot, not so much words. It was more of a feeling of trust, of like, hey, everything is all right. If you're going to have me, you're still going to have space for yourself. You're still going to, it's just going to expand your experience of life.
Mm.
And I felt this trust and knowing this. And I was like, okay. And then when I came back from that, I expressed to Leia, like, yeah, I'm ready. And then I think maybe a week after I expressed that, we had sex once in that period where she was fertile. And that was the only time needed. And then she was pregnant. And I was certain it was a boy. And it was a boy. Yeah. Yeah. And so to get the moral of the story, you never know what something's good for. And even the most horrible things, like having a gun to your head, actually is the biggest gift, because it made me meet her and have this moment and this connection in the lobby of the hotel that made me curious enough to then afterwards fly to Costa Rica to meet her and to explore that. And yeah, to
And
really
that's how
look at our
little.
lives. And
And the well, one little part, little small part from my side. The moment that you said, "Hey, I'm gonna be a father," and we were talking about like, so do you already know a name? Yeah, I already know a name. The first name that I wanted to ask, is it going to be? I didn't do it, but the first name that I wanted to ask was Noah. Noah. It was circulating like in my,
really,
yes, in my
you never
head.
shared that.
Yeah, I know. It's the first time I share this, but because I didn't feel like I needed to take that space or whatnot. But that was like that name circulated like 10, 20, 30, 40 times, and it's fucking Noah. It's crazy. It's such a beautiful story,
That was
man.
also such an interesting that you had that, because also in just the signs that came after we chose that name, or when we were always keeping it open to the point that we chose actually his name 2 days after, or we didn't choose it. We made the final decision 2 days after he was born, because we wanted to feel the energy and if it's correct
Mm.
still. But
Mm.
already throughout the pregnancy, we saw suddenly Noah was, I knew only one Noah in my life before that. And suddenly, like, there was this place very close to where we live right now that is like a gallery that's called Noah. And Leia was raised there, but she never saw that. She never saw that, but it was always there, but she never saw it. And suddenly it was there. And there was this woman who was a friend of Leia's mom who dreamt about our son. And she was checking, like, is his name Noah? And then her mom just expressed, because her mom was the only one that already knew the name. And then she just needed to say yes, because it's like so crazy that it was so on time.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then one of these 4 people that were in the lobby of the hotel, she's a very intuitive, she's like a channeler as well. And then in those days following this moment in the lobby of the hotel, she expressed to Leia not to think so much about this other guy that she met at the retreat, because it doesn't feel right, but that she should be curious about me somehow, that somehow felt right for her. And we visited her once because she lives near Barcelona. And then this was still a couple of weeks before Leia expressed that she wanted to be with me. And then we were talking about Leia still having some doubts if she really wants to get into the relationship. And then Alex, this girl's name is, she looked at us. She's like, no doubts. No doubts. There's no doubt. So she had such a pivotal, important, basically experience also in Leia being able to just trust and let go and feel that it's the right thing to be with me. And then we already had chosen the name, but then she got a son, I believe, in maybe November, a couple months before us. And his name is also Noah. Yeah. Yeah. So there were just these signs that were just very clear. Like, okay, this is, I believe we don't choose the name, right? It's something that he chooses and he gives through to us. Um, and yeah, it's wow. Just wow. No, life is really magical. And the more we don't resist, the more we just accept that whatever is happening to us is actually happening for us, the easier it becomes. And the faster we get to also see what the lessons are within it. Maybe a little invitation for anyone who's listening whilst we round off the podcast right now is there any experience in your life where you're still resisting, where you're still noticing that you're playing the victim of what has happened to you? And I literally am playing because you are not a victim. Eventually you did create it, even though it feels very painful and you're like, how did I create this and why? Like, what the fuck? No. See if you can release that resistance a bit, release that judgment a bit, and just be like, okay, I'm open to receive what the lesson is. Even if you can't see what the lesson is right now, the more open you become, the more life is going to be showing you what the lesson actually is for that experience. How terrible, how terrible it sometimes is. And all the compassion for all your pain, your sorrow, maybe even your anger towards someone who has done something to you. All of that is also allowed, right? It's not about not expressing and feeling those emotions because they need to be felt. But then also let's go beyond that and be able to see like what is it that I'm learning here, and then to not learn something that is restrictive. Like some people, yeah, I learned that people are not to be trusted. No, that's not the lesson because it's very contracting. It cannot be that the lesson that you're learning from an experience is that you shouldn't trust human beings. I can't, that can't be, that's still your ego speaking, right? It's still coming from a like, so therefore you first need to maybe express some more of the emotions before you actually go deeper. But then to see that eventually the lesson you get to learn is something that is expanding you because it's in alignment with who you want to be and what your pure expression, your pure authentic expression is on this world. So maybe a nice invitation in case you feel like diving into that question, whatever experience you have. And you're very welcome to also write us if you don't know. Maybe you just want to express an experience you had in your life, and um, maybe you need some help. Then maybe we could help you just with some reflective questions to see in a different way, because life is truly happening for us.
Yeah. Be open to explore. Just be open to explore. Just allow yourself to every moment that you can be that little kid, have that intuitive thought, intuitive process. Just allow yourself to be that kid, because otherwise you're turning like mature or too fast, and then also thoughts, they become old, right? You want to keep them fresh, young. Explore.
Explore.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Oh, brother.
Thank you for the beautiful episodes. We definitely sank into our hearts as well, right? It's so nice to feel that.
Yeah.
This ease, this silence, this presence. I guess see each other next week.
Yep.
Share
See ya.
the podcast if you like it with anyone who can use any of these insights or stories. And of course, welcome to give us a review. That helps us to really spread the podcast more and to inspire more people to learn the art of being human, which we're not saying that we know everything. We're just expressing what we have learned along the way and what we're still learning along the way. Much love.
Lava.
Kiss for you.
is for you too, brother.